Alright, so we are going to be on the play against lands, which I didn't know at the time. And keep in mind, Stoneblade has a lot of very evenish matchups, but when it comes to favorable matchups, lands is definitely one of them. Going into this game, I am 11-1 against lands. A pretty solid matchup. True-Name is an absolute beating for them. Back to Basics is an absolute beating for them. We have 4 swords going into the sideboard. We have 5 with Path To Exile. We have a lot of ways to deal with chokes, disenchants, councils, judgments. We just have a lot of good cards of them. There's a few cards that don't do much but can still help in the process. So overall, it is definitely a favorable matchup. So anyway, in the dark, not sure who I'm playing against because it's first time playing them, I believe. Maybe I did play them, but I didn't know it was lands. But this isn't a horrible hand. I have lands, and I can, it's kind of slow. It would suck against a few decks, but I don't mulligan hands that are playable generally unless I know who I'm playing against and what they're up to. So, sure. Okay, Wasteland they discarded randomly. Here I don't mind playing a Flooded Strand. Not playing around Blood Moon or anything. We know what they're up to now. Put this with the lands where it goes perfectly. Wasteland, nice Wasteland. Loam, so they're getting back Wasteland and Heath. Cool. Now keep in mind, this game had a ton of lines in it. It stalled out pretty long, so there's just so many. That's a great draw. Here I want to play Island, so I don't need to fetch. I can just use the Island for Brainstorm. So keep in mind, there's going to be like 500 million lines. I understand that. Plus, when games draw out and we're kind of around the same time, I will play faster so I can get the edge. And they also put out, a Tabernacle, so it took some time to, pay for those. Here, let's Brainstorm. But there's so many minute decisions against lands. I found this very interesting. It's not a bad move because obviously they can get their wastelands back, but keeping in mind I do have a fetch land, that is another good reason why I played the island there, because you want to save your fetch lands until you need to use them, so by playing the bare island allows me to not fetch, just use island for Brainstorm, so that was a very easy land there. And they're just also getting, I don't know, Taiga. What are you going to stifle me with your non-blue? Here I believe I want Island because I already have white there and I can get either or with that. Here we go. Sure. Okay. Like I said, there's a lot of crazy lines in this. So, looking at what we have here, I actually don't mind Force of Will. I know there's not a lot of things to force. Like you can force, Exploration, Forcing a timely crop rotation is a good idea because they usually use it when they're about to win. True-Name is amazing, but I do have a ton of lands here, so plains are great. I don't want a Polluted Delta, and I don't want a plains because this can fetch a plains. So let's see. And this is going to be a fetch land for my other Brainstorm, so definitely a Polluted Delta and probably a plains. Wait, plains? Yeah, Polluted Delta. It didn't really, actually it did matter because I am getting one of those back. It's probably going to be the Polluted Delta. Polluted Delta? Yes, okay. So that makes sense because it's better to have the fetch, especially with the Brainstorm here. So here I can probably play like a Flooded Strand or a Polluted Delta. Probably a Strand because I want some plains in there. I did know what that other card was, which is why I am, fetching and playing True-Name here. And I didn't want that. I didn't feel like brainstorming. I didn't want to look at that other card, fetch, and then, just to play that. This is going to start doing work because they pretty much can't stop this unless they get, Glacial Chasm, which is they're going to lose life in the process. Okay, so they got that going. Loam, so they're getting staged. They got the combo pretty much good to go. I didn't want to force that. I have a lot of ways of, digging for stuff, so they can't do it now. So I have 2 turns pretty much. I can Brainstorm here. So now is where we're... Oh, this is great. Another digging card. So I want to ask myself, do I want to ponder or Brainstorm here? I can look at 4. Well, technically I can look at 4, and then I can Brainstorm, shuffle away. I think I went with ponder first. I'd have to really think about that, what gets the most amount of... I think either way is fine. I'm pretty much just looking for a swords here. I did not find a swords, so let's shuffle that. Now what I can do is play Brainstorm. And I do have a fetch land. Actually, I think that way is better because if I don't find anything on Ponder and I get one crap card, I can always shuffle it away. So here, let's see, it's probably going to be, we have a lot of crap. Honestly, this could be really anything. Plains are going to be helpful here against, You know, when I do find plows and Ghost Quarter sometimes. But here, Narset kind of sucks. I do have a Force of Will I can pitch to Snapcaster. So it's probably going to be maybe like a Polluted Delta and maybe one Plains. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. Narset. I did say that first. So Narset and probably Polluted Delta. Yeah. Then we're going to play this and we'll fetch later. Let's attack. And nothing else. Let's fetch too so we don't forget. They're not going to really play anything that's going to affect us from fetching there. Okay, that's not the worst in the world. I believe I attacked first. Or I did Snapcaster Ponder, one of those. Actually, I think it's Snapcaster Brainstorm. Or Ponder, one of those. I don't remember. Since I do have a fetch land, and I actually do have cards that I can get rid of, I believe I went with Brainstorm. I think I just did it now, though. Just in case, like, say I Brainstorm and I find a Ponder, you know, I want to be able to play that too. So that was the reasoning. So Brainstorm now. Yeah, now that I think about it, I do want to Brainstorm now because think about it. Say I don't find a Swords to Plowshares, but say I get like a Ponder. What I can do is keep the Ponder, fetch this, play Ponder, and then I can still have white up. So that's the reasoning for that. And my goodness, did we find Swords to Plowshares or did we find Swords to Plowshares? Whew, that was a solid one. Okay, so once again, despite the fact we have a difficult decision here, actually this is another time where you don't actually have to fetch. I believe I put Plains back because I do want to play this. This can get equipment and attach to True-Name. Another True-Name isn't bad, and having a Snapcaster is great when I'm going to have Swords in the bin, plus Force of Will backup. So all these are really good. I believe it was Plains. Yes, and I chose, I think, not to shuffle. We'll see. Because this is going to get a Plains anyway, so I think having 3 wouldn't be a big deal. So here I do want to Swords this now, even if they, let's see, they play green, they crop rotation for like, what is it, Sajiri Step, whatever it's called, I can Force of Will, that says not a big deal. So here I'm just going to plow it right now. Okay. Tabernacle. A lot of fun. Let's see. So this is going to be a problem because they're just going to keep doing it. And it doesn't matter. We're going to fight through it regardless. Just got to play smart. Okay, gamble. And they ended up discarding Dark Depths randomly. That's probably not a big deal. So yeah, I believe I chose not to shuffle because with this happening too, I do want to utilize... I do want more land. Let me put it that way. And I put, what's it called? Always yield to this, so it saves a little time, so I just have to pay it. Then I did it right there also as well. Let's play with blue because white is going to be very important here. Let's play our land after we attack. Okay, I can do that too. Now the question here is, I don't want to fetch for a Tundra or a Volk to play True-Name. I do like, if I play Stoneforge... that means I can't, you know, Snapcaster Plow. However, I don't really need to do that. Plus, playing an extra creature is going to eat into my mana. I don't think I did anything there. However, I could have, but it's not a big deal. A lot of this game is going to be me, like, really looking for back to basics as well, because I do play 2 main deck. Back to basics there would be nice. Okay, so they are getting Ghost Quarter, so I have to keep that in mind. I think because they got Ghost Quarter there, I might not have shuffled. I'm not sure. Because I know they're going to start going after my Plains, which is fine. Okay, so that's what I did. Okay, here I actually chose the Brainstorm. That is the reason, like I said, there's so many lines in this game. I chose not to do that because right now I'm looking for a, what's the word? Back to basics. And I understand that in order to play Brainstorm, I'm going to have to, you know, ditch this. I'm going to get a Volk so I can save my what's it called for later. That's fine. Let's just tap it for mana in case we need it. I always like tapping for mana because usually if you don't. Here I'm, let's see. Did I get my Plains? I forgot. Okay. Actually, what I could have done there is just gotten an island and then use that island to Brainstorm. But like I said, there's a lot going on here. It's fine. So I'm going to crack this for a Volk so I can save my Tundra for when I need it. Here I'm looking for back to basics because that's tapped. It's really going to help me out. I did not find it. Pretty much One of these cards I am going to be drawing back. However, let's see. Jitte isn't the worst. But I think I put Jitte back, and the other one didn't matter. Yeah, Jitte and whatever, because I'm going to be drawing it. Yep. I believe I am paying for these here. Land is good. Let's attack with all. And I believe I might have Stoneforged here, just because they can't, let's see, if they crop rotation, yeah, they can't do anything, so they can't kill me next turn. And I want to start getting a Batterskull into play. Or maybe I'm doing another True-Name. What did I do here? Okay, I pondered. I pondered because I was simply looking for a back to basics. Okay, so I take that back. Here, pretty much, Swords isn't the worst. I think it was like Counterspell last, and then maybe Brainstorm and then Swords, or I shuffled. Okay. Having another Swords is definitely not a bad option. Did I play Stoneforge here? Yes, I did. Okay, perfect. So that worked out very well. Here I want Batterskull. I want to start getting above 20 life, so if they do get around my Swords, you know, they start ghost quartering me, I can at least take a hit or two. This I definitely chose to, what's the word? Force of Will. I didn't need too many more creatures. All you really need is one True-Name Nemesis, Batterskull, maybe a Jitte attached to it, but I'm not sure what they could have gotten here, and I don't mind 2 for 2ing here, you know, unless this was just bait, but that was the first crop rotation I had seen, so I figured, no thanks. Okay, so they do have the combo set up, as always. Now we got to make a few decisions. Do I want to pay for this? Yes, I do, because I want to bring in Batterskull. Yep. Now we move on to this. So we have an interesting decision. Do I want to bring this in? The answer is yes. They don't have a Ghost Quarter here, so they can't like Ghost Quarter me. And then, unless, let's see, they have, well, 1, 2. They need a lot of stuff to be able to Ghost Quarter me and not be able to plow them. So I definitely brought this in. Plains and Island here. I said enough of them. That was me hedging on getting back to basics. Okay, so that was the reason why I let them die. That's actually not a bad draw whatsoever. Let's attack with both of these. We're at 32 cards left in the deck. We've fired off, what, 2 Ponders, you know, 2 Brainstorms. I think 2 were exiled, so maybe 4, and we haven't seen a back to basics, which is, I mean, it happens sometimes. I was very aggressively playing to find a back to basics in this game, as you could tell from a lot of the plays I made. But we're still completely in this. Like, they have, I'd say, the advantage, but we're kind of like on defense the entire time, making sure we don't tap too many planes or tap outer planes or they ghost quarter us out, because eventually that can happen as well. They're getting card drawing, they're getting Taiga, and they are getting Maze of Ith. Okay, so Maze of Ith can stop this, so that's something to keep in mind. There it is. And another Wasteland. Probably going to waste that, that's fine. No ghost quarter. So now we want to ask ourselves, it's going to cost 5 to equip, and when I equip this, they can't Maze of Ith it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have to pay for True-Name. That means I will have 1 left over. So I actually decided to not pay for this. Please don't pay for it and make me look like an idiot. Thank you very much, James. Sometimes I do that and I realize it's like the next turn. Then I actually drew a land, which was interesting, because if I play this, what's the word? You know, I'm going to go down to 13, and then I gain 7, I'm at 20, but it means at least I get to keep a Swords up. So I did decide to play Delta. Took a little risk here, I guess, because that means they have to... What are you doing? I guess they could have always just punishing fired me, so I guess it wasn't that big of a deal, you know, if they needed to do 1 or 2 extra damage. But either way, right here, that means they can't... That doesn't tap mana. None of these tap mana, so they can't go off anyway. So not that big of a risk. However, they did have those open, right? So now that they tap those, it's like we're in the clear. And they can't get that back. Too bad. And this is a really good card, kind of keeping it in your hand, because there's going to be times, once I get above 20, what can happen is that I'll take a hit you know, and then what can happen with Jace is you slam it and then just bounce their creature. Oops, they were getting a bunch of stuff there. It looks like Ghost Quarter, I think. Yep, Ghost Quarter, Karakas, so they can bounce their own legendary creature. Opponent played very well in this game. There was one little, it wasn't a mistake, it was just something I found funny. Maybe they haven't been playing the deck too long. We're certainly paying for that. That's not a bad draw, actually, so I think I attacked first. Give them less information. I don't want to play this. This is going to be for the hands where, say, they bring this in, and if I go to Swords it, like, they protect it. But anyway, once I'm above 20 life, this can be used as a free bounce to get rid of Jace. Plus, if I play it now, they'll just Punishing Fire it. Since I had nothing else going on, sure, you can get that back. I actually played Narset here. Sure, let's tap that. Sure, why not? More land is good. Let's see what we got. And once again, we have no, what's the word? Back to basics. Not like it would be a huge deal here, but, excuse me. So do we want another Jace? Obviously, we can't really get a Councils. We have no more planes, and that would be hard to play because we would need a Tundra for that, plus it's Sorcery. So either a second copy of Jace, but I went with Ponder because I can always Ponder right here. I got nothing else going on. My plane is still there. And Spell Pierce, let's see, they have 1, 2, 3 mana open, so if they try something funky, I might be able to Spell Pierce something. Either way, I didn't like what I was seeing here. I could have taken a Ponder, but that means I would have seen the next card, the Fetch Away. And, you know, comes with Moto, is the old Shuffle Bug, as they like to call it. 1, 2, better not sue. Sure. So here I actually could have done nothing and then Jace bounced it next turn, but I didn't mind plowing this just to get it out of the way. I wanted to use this when it was like I had no other option to do it. I don't mind giving them life because this is going to allow me to get a much higher life total. Plus, they couldn't have done anything there anyway, so that's fine. I didn't mind doing that. I'd rather use my plows than, you know, get all tricky with it. So what are they getting here? Dark Depths, Ghost Quarter, Dark Depths. That's fine. It's amazing how many times they can keep recurring this combo, and you know, we can still do pretty well. Okay, let's shuffle. Nothing else. That's fine. Absolutely. We're slowly running out of islands. Thank you. I felt like at this point, is it even worth playing? But anyway, what I decided to do is attack and use Narset in one of those specific orders. Yeah, I did that first just in case they got tricky with like Punishing Fire. Here, I actually like Jitte. It's going to allow me to put a much quicker clock on there, and I can actually kill them in 2 turns. So pretty much Jitte, equip, attack, and then it's kill them next turn, and I can bounce the other turn. Plus, they can only, Ghost Quarter me once next turn, so I'll still have enough mana to tap island. So Jitte is definitely the play here. By doing this, I get to hide back to basics at least. Maybe they'll think that I don't play it. Or just in the sideboard, who knows. Perfect. This allows me to gain even more life, and like I said, next turn I can attack for 11. So it's going to be, 3 turns or something? Yeah, sound like that. You got it. So this is the point where I didn't mind getting to, where I can obviously take a hit. Heck, I can take 2 hits because next turn I'm going to pump this up twice and get above 40. That was the questioning thing. They actually paid 1. For anyone who plays lands, or if you're ever going to play lands, you don't need to pay for the Tabernacle, because it says destroy this creature, and remember it's indestructible, so keep that in mind. I thought that was kind of funny, but not a lot of people noticed that. I remember watching someone who was playing lands, and like, you don't need to tap for it, chat was saying, but I would have never known that until you see it a lot of times. So let's see what they got. They're bringing back Stage. They are bringing back Ghost Quarter. Sure. They're going to try and Ghost Quarter me out, but it's going to be a little too late. Sure. Like I said, there's just so many decisions in this. At this point, it's more about playing fast. because we're very even. This is taking up a little time too, so second game I'm definitely going to keep in mind. Okay, so first what we want to do here is Jace bounce, just in case they, I don't know. What could they do? They could, if they're a really good player and put me on having a Jace, they could crop rotation on combat step, port one of my lands, and then I wouldn't be able to play Jace. Not like it would matter too much because I'm going to be going above 20, but still, that would be like a super expert next level play. Let's just bounce this immediately. I wanted to take care of this first. Okay, I'm going to give this +2/+2 because when we give it +2/+2, we're gaining all that life as well, and we're dealing damage since we got True-Name Jitterskull, as we like to call it. And now they're pretty much dead. As planned perfectly. And we're at 25, so we are safe from, what, you know, Dark Depths attack. Are they going to even make it here? 1, 2. Because we have virtual 29 life. They're going to have to, like, attack us and then punishing fire us, what, like 5 times? I don't know what they're looking for, but they're not going to be able to find it. Unless they know something I don't. Maybe they're playing like a main deck Crowson's Grip, but it doesn't hurt to look. Okay, so that was a very long game, number 1 against lands. That's usually how it goes. It's funny in the beginning because they were like really ahead. Like they had the combo and we really had to dig. Some very timely ponders and brainstorms, and that last brainstorm actually found us 2 Swords to Plowshares. I think how I kept a lot of those cards, the decisions I chose to make, like actually getting rid of Batterskull just so I could attach it, was very big. That actually happens in the second one too, but either way, another game 1 win for the good guys. Let's go to the sideboarding because this matchup is really fun. It's really long. There's a lot of decisions, and yeah, it's pretty favorable. But it kind of evens out a little because they have a lot of ways to kind of combat with what we have. But let's go to sideboarding anyway. All right, so game 2 against lands, we are going to be on the draw. I do like Force of Negation. This is going to be my extra counterspell against like choke and maybe a crop rotation. This is mostly for choke. I'm taking out pretty much most of my counter magic aside from my forces. So Disenchant, keep in mind they bring in chokes usually, unless they get some weird list. So definitely 2 of those. It can also kill Sylvan Library. If you're ambitious enough, there could be times where you want to kill a Mox Diamond. Anyway, Rest in Peace is great. If you notice how many times they got back all of their cards, so Rest in Peace it can be a very big hoser. I also do like bringing in Surgical. It's more about which one am I going to see first. This is awesome for nuking, say, like Thespian Stage or Dark Depths. Probably Dark Depths because it's more powerful overall. Spell Snare, I don't like. It hits like Sylvan Library. If they're playing Ren and 6, it's a possibility. I didn't see that from this list, and so I didn't bring that in. Whereas Hydroblast, they do have a few, like if they played Ren and 6 maybe. Aside from that, I'm not too excited about it. But these are the 7 cards I'm bringing in. I'm taking out Volk. They do play Wasteland, although it wouldn't be the worst to have an extra land. I still don't want it to be a non-basic. I am taking out my soft permission package there. Okay, I am taking out Narset. It's not really stopping much aside from their, Sylvan Library, which is usually a 1 of. And everything else I like here. I actually don't mind having 2 Jace. I believe what I did here is actually take out 1 Ponder. I did that previously in a video, and like I said, Ponder is an awesome card, but it doesn't mean you have to always have 4. And I'm like, I've always had 3 Stoneforge Mystics, so keep in mind, just because a card is really good doesn't mean you always have to play 4. I just happen to like this setup right here. Like, this is great for bouncing, or heck, even if you want card advantage, you can Fate Seal. Late game, there's usually not too much going on in the board. We have 5 ways to deal with their creatures. Usually they'll bring in like Tireless Tracker. Sometimes they'll bring in maybe 1 more, but obviously these are for the Dark Depths. Surgical Extraction to snipe part of the combo. If you want to just bring in 1, that's fine. However, I like having 3 areas to attack the graveyard from both Surgicals and Rest in Peace. Both Disenchants are going to be for choke mostly. Counterspell, I don't mind. Usually this game goes late sometimes, or even early. You know, you can play a counterspell, that's fine. Council's Judgment, once again, to answer choke. I have a lot of ways to deal with that, but you'll pretty much lose to choke if you don't have any planes, or you tap too aggressively, or you tap out. And once again, Force of Negation combined with my 4 Force of Wills. I generally like keeping Force of Will in for cards that have haymakers against us. Choke is certainly a haymaker. I've played lands once where they had 2 haymakers, 2 chokes in game 3. I still won, so just because they play it doesn't mean it's over. But aside from that, this deck is looking very good, or at least these 60 are looking very good against lands for game number 2. So let's go to game number 2. We are going to be on the draw since we won game numero uno. So we got game number 2 against TJW is dead. And speaking of dead, my hand is very dead. This hand sucks so much. I mean, there's no land. What are we going to do with this? Mulligan. Now we have a decision to make. So let's analyze this hand a little. First and foremost, we do have 1 land, and we are on the draw. Okay, if I was in the play, I would probably mulligan this, given the fact that we have 2 more looks to find a land, or at least a ponder or a brainstorm. Brainstorm's not the best when you have 1 land in hand, but I actually decided to keep this. I don't want to mulligan the 5. You know how much I hate mulliganing. Plus, I can at least get rid of a Jace. Obviously, it's a redundant copy. We don't need it. But this is an awesome card. 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 Going down to 5 is going to be tough to beat. Say I get like 3 mana. I'm not liking it. You know how much I hate mulliganing, but I'm going with that. Since I am on the draw, I do have 2 looks at finding a land, so I am cool with that. Okay, nothing. Turn 1. That's fine. Okay, a land. It's not a plains, but it's still land, which means we can make land drops, and we're going to be even more screwed to choke. No big deal. We got this. Anyway, let's continue on. We will play the cards that we are dealt to the best of our ability, and they are doing nothing. I don't mind this at all. Okay, that was a really good draw. Not going to say it. Okay, I just said it anyway. It was a really good draw. So I have a few decisions. First of all, I'm playing Plains. I don't want to play Rest in Peace, because Rest in Peace is more of a card that, you know, once they know it's in play, they're going to obviously play differently. Maybe they don't want cards going in the graveyard. It's kind of like Back to Basics. If I had 3 mana, I wouldn't play it here because, obviously, and it's kind of like the same with Choke. You're probably not going to play it when all of their islands are untapped. However, I don't like playing Rest in Peace here, which I just talked about, and I don't mind playing Stoneforge, so let's have them deal with that first. Let's make them have a Punishing Fire, pretty much is what I'm saying. And I like getting Batterskull here. I don't care if they kill this and I can't cast it. That is card advantage, keep in mind. If I do, obviously next turn I can play True-Name. So they got nothing here, which is good. So if they deal with this now, I have the ability to play Back to Basics. Okay. So they must have drawn that, because they probably would have played it last turn, you know, and that's fine. Now they have this. Okay, so that's actually not a bad play. So that means I got to pay 1 for this, and then I got to... It looks like they could be setting up Choke. However, they're going to need 2 more mana to do that, you know, because obviously they played this. This I am not too... I don't mind seeing this at all, you know, especially played on turn 2. The idea against this deck is you really want to build your mana out. Ironically enough, I'm definitely paying for this. It's going to be an island. Ironically enough, what happened in this game is that I started drawing lands, and lands is exactly what I needed. I'm like, yes, keep flooding out, quote unquote. Anyway, let's play our island here. Okay. Let's bring it in. They're not doing anything. I like it. Ooh. Okay. I'll give home ec another shot. So now I'm going to have a difficult decision to make. Back to Basics is going to cost 4. Okay. So if I do play it, that means I can't pay for this. However, they're going to have some trouble dealing with this unless they have a Frozen Grip or a Force of Vigor. And I think it's Force of Vigor. The green one, right? They can kill like 2 artifacts and enchantments. Either way, I think I'm fine with that. I decided to keep it. No big deal. Back to Basics is a decent time to kind of play it, seeing they're only going to have 1 mana, and plus they'll have Spear of Resistance up. So I wanted to get the attacks in. That is like the most perfect draw I could ever ask for. So I'm going to play land, and I am going to attack. Okay, so I obviously can't cast this. I obviously can't cast this, but I can cast this. If I now the question in mind is that if I cast this, they're not going to be able to get this back, which means they can't like double Punishing Fire this, which is something I kind of like. However, if I tap out for this, that means Force of Will won't be up for any type of choke. So choke costs 3, 1, 2, 3. They would need 1 more mana. I decided to actually rest in peace here, I believe. Yes. That means they're not getting this back, and they're going to have a hard time dealing with this. Unless they have, you know, what, 2 more Punishing Fires? And they're not getting any back from the graveyard anytime soon. So I kind of put my shields down a little. They didn't really know that, but, you know, this is like the perfect time to play choke. And they did. I'm like, oh, thank God. Whew. That was their win, though. They had it. And what do you got going on now? We will absolutely pay 1 for that. Land? Oh my goodness. Goodness. That was perfect. Let's attack and do nothing. We actually can't play anything, but now we have double Force of Will up, so at this point we're looking for a good turn to land this. And we have 2 cards to pitch to. We could obviously play True-Name maybe next turn either, so these are our options, and of course we have, depending on what they do, we will force pitch. We want to keep both of these. This is another great reason why Force of Will can be really good against decks like this, where it's like, make them tap out their land, make them tap out their land. Force of Will, I'd say Jace in this section. Yeah. Okay, so now we have a very interesting decision to make. If I pay 1 for this and I don't draw a land, I can't play Back to Basics. I didn't like that. However, by not paying 1, that means I can 100% guaranteed play Back to Basics, and that means they're stuck on 1 land, and they have a Spear of Resistance in here, so anything's going to cost 2. So I actually decided to not pay this. That was a very critical decision. Come on. No, we're not doing it. See? And if I had paid that, I wouldn't have been able to play Back to Basics. So let's play the Haymaker. And this is really weird. Like, I tapped 4, and it's like, I had 4 mana, but apparently you have to click on the card first and then do 4. Like, I had tapped all 4 and then clicked on the card. It's like, pay 2 more. It was being weird. Anyway. And the cool thing about this is that they can't play Force of Vigor here because everything is tapped out and they need 1 more. So that works perfectly. And in order to use it, they have to do it on my turn. So that played around so many things. They can't Crows and Grip now either. That doesn't tap for mana. That doesn't tap for mana. They have 1 right here. And yeah. Land here would be perfect. Oh my goodness. Land here is perfect, literally. Let's play land, because True Name's going to cost 4. And then we will have backup protection with, what's it called? Here we go again. Like, I tap 4, and it's like, no. Okay, so you got to click on the card. Damn Spear of Resistance. See, now it says pay 4. Okay, fine. Despite the fact I was paying 4 before. Anyway. And what do we have here? Let's go ahead and force that. Let's pay 1. And let's have them, that was like, I must say that might have to be like the perfect cards against what they had right there. Aside from a few crucial decisions, Back to Basics, Rest in Peace, Batterskull, and True-Name, all of their mana is tapped aside from this, and anything they play is going to cost 2. And if they play a non-basic, they're going to have to nuke it. Plus, once I get 1 more land, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I get 1 more land, I can equip this. Even so, it's still 4 turns and they're dead. And they were pretty dead. So that was a fun game against lands. Game 2 was certainly not as long as game 1. But both were fun. Probably not from my opponent, but hey, I'm not the one playing lands against Stoneblade. Another one for the good guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.